so, when did you start working here? Okay, how are you finding it? Yes, it's pretty mad, isn't it? Yeah, it gets, honestly, when I started, I thought, this is, like, unbelievable, but, it continues that way, and I still see things now that just blow me away. And it's been 15 years, so it's a very interesting job. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you how to do an audio log. So when we go out on a mission, when we come back, we always do an audio recording, just giving a brief report of what happened, okay? And we start off by just saying, this is an audio report from Supernatural Detective. Say your name, and then just say the date and the time that you left the headquarters to go on the mission, okay? So once you've done that, you just start to give a short overview of what happened. You give a short overview first, so that the higher-ups can, if they want to, just listen to the first part, and then you give more detail later on. Okay, so I'll show you now. I'm going to talk about the last mission that I went on, and then I will show you how to do it, okay? Okay, let's get started. I'm going to take my jacket off because it's a bit warm in here, isn't it? Okay, so I've already actually logged this one, but I'm going to just show you how it's done. So after you've given your name and the time and date that you left the headquarters, I'll also give the return time as well, okay? And the return date. What you then do is you say, this is the brief description of the events that took place on the mission. And I would start by explaining what my mission briefing was. So I was told to go to the swamp in the forest of moons, and it's the main swamp there. And there had been reports that there were battles between the reflections in the swamp from the moons, and they were fighting over the different areas of the main swamp. One of the things that we do is we actually try to keep the peace between different magical creatures, as well as stopping evil creatures. We try and keep the peace between the good ones as well. So I would say, I was given the mission off, and they are their own separate entity. They have lived in the swamp peacefully, but every now and then there are conflicts that arise over space and, area effectively. We often say that, the area that you were formed in is the area that is yours, and we give about 10 meters around that for them to call their home. It's a large swamp. If a reflection is formed in another area of another reflection, then we say the closest area next to it, with 10 meters around it in every direction, is their home. Sometimes there are disputes about this, and if they start to band together, we could see a battle or a war, which would not be good, as these are powerful entities. So I would explain that as I explained that was my mission, and then I would say, that I left at the time and date that I did to go and investigate this. Sometimes, if you've travelled anything other than on foot, then just mention it. If you've teleported, then just mention it. If you've travelled by some kind of magical creature, then just let them know, because sometimes the magical creatures that you use can have an effect on the mission, depending on the different interactions between the different creatures that you are investigating and the creature that you are using to get to the mission area. So, for example, there is a flying log that has the ability to absorb huge amounts of water, and this can be useful in certain situations, but I wouldn't take that to the swamp, because it could suck up a lot of the water that's in the swamp, and the reflection entities would not be happy, and it would just make the whole situation a lot worse. So you will learn the best modes of transport in getting to these different areas and places. I would then say that I arrived, and I just teleported there. On my arrival, I found that the area was quite tense, and you could feel the tension, the magical tension in the air. I made my presence known and shouted out that a supernatural detective was in the area, and I was acknowledged by one of the leaders of the reflection entity groups. They told me that a really dangerous situation was occurring, situation is, so immediately I knew that this was, a risky situation and something that needed to get sorted out immediately. I could see that the swamp was becoming overcrowded, and so I asked for a meeting between the other main groups of the reflection entities, and so there was 4 other main leaders, and we sat down and we had a meeting, and I remember thinking, this could be the last chance to sort this out before a war. And I really didn't want that to happen, because the reflection entities are very powerful and they have huge amounts of energy, magical energy, which can fire off and explode into different directions, which could be harmful to the other magical creatures in the forest. Now, there was a lot of arguing that started to take place, and I expected this, to be honest, and I could see that we weren't really getting anywhere. And I thought to myself, what if we created another swamp? And of course, none of them wanted to leave the original swamp. So I said, okay, the fairest way we can do this is to basically send a portion of every group to the new swamp, meaning that a portion of every group stayed in the original swamp. And after some consideration, I think we had agreement there, but it was, pretty delicate. So I said, well, I will report back and, give the information to the headquarters, and we will discuss how to then move forward building this larger swamp. So I left and took the information back. So that would be considered a brief explanation of what happened, and that again is so that the higher ups can hear it and get the fundamental aspects of the mission, if they just need to get a shorter version. What I would then do is I would say, right, now I'm going to give a more detailed account of what happened, and I would essentially go through and explain in great detail the same story, but make sure that you include all of the most important parts. And in the first part, in the brief part, and also make sure that you write things down if you need to, so that if they ask you any questions, you can answer them quickly. I sometimes will write down some of the most important parts lots of information so that I have it all there in my notebook for them if they ask about it. Okay, well that's it. Let me know if you have any more questions when you come to do your first one. I'll be happy to help you. Okay, well, thanks, and don't worry, you'll be fine. This is a great organisation to work for. I'll see you soon.